Hello, I'm just getting ready for an interview with Tom Arnold going live soon. And he sent me a text saying, please send him a link. So I've got to simultaneously get ready and think of a title for the interview. I am hoping this will be a great interview, and I am so excited to talk to Tom. He has so many stories. He's really been involved with a lot of the people who are players in these stories, and he's just a brilliant comic actor. My preparation for this interview was watching True Lies with my husband and some of it with my son. Oh my gosh, send a link to his email. Okay, what's the title going to be? What's the title? We'll say talking to Tom. Feel free to chime in with any suggestions or any questions. Talking with Tom Arnold sounds better than talking to Tom Arnold. Talking with Tom Arnold. He's always right. He knows he was right about everything. About so many things. That leaves room for so many things. Hashtag Trump. Hashtag Epstein. Hashtag Ghislaine, if I'm spelling that right. Okay, and then we will send him a link. Oh, I've got to open my email. I'm so excited, guys. You guys, how many times in your life do you get to talk to someone who is someone you look up to in a field that is exciting? Is that my email address? Yes. Okay. Compose an email. Enter studio. Send invite. All right, now we have. Okay. I'm so excited. Okay, so what questions do people have that they think I should ask Tom? So I should be talking while I do this. What's been blowing up over the last 24 hours is some unsealed recipient. Okay. Subject, StreamYard link. StreamYard is the website that I use for interview. Thank you, Davina, from Davina. Click send. You know how things go wrong. Is this a good light? There is a strategy session on tonight with Democrats. Everybody should sign up with, oh my goodness, 17 people left. Okay, I'm going to press play on this old one. So you can see I did talk to Tom last 4 years ago. This was the interview. Maybe I'll turn the sound up for you.
For Australia, which is on fire, and
doing a new.
We still have a month left of bushfire season.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but
the government's put on some massive amounts of water, and our government was trying to pretend that the bushfires weren't a big deal, but there's been sort of enough of an international outcry now that maybe we'll accept help from the US as well. That would be great.
Yeah, I think it's best. U.S. We accept help from Canada. We had a fire. There's still fire season here in California. It said, and in Northern California is just terrible. A lot of devastation, and it's much worse than when I moved here 30 years ago. And it catches, and it's not only devastating to the livestock and people. We get a lot of help from our friends. We get a lot of help from south of the border, and we get a lot of help from north, and we'll take it any way we can get it. We get a lot of help from Australia too, you know.
Yeah, we have firefighters who come see you as well.
So if we need um, uh, boats, and Australia has always helped the United States because obviously they're getting worse, and we're just figuring out how to. And,
Last time I interviewed Tom, I had a sore throat because I was in Australia on holiday to see my family. I'm Australian, as you can tell from my voice, and well, as you may be able to tell from my voice, and there were incredible bushfires. Climate change is not a joke, people, and the sky in Australia was grey for months as a consequence of millions of acres of land being burnt in extreme, uncontrollable wildfires that could have been controlled a little better if the government at the time had taken it seriously, but they were Australia's equivalent of the Republican Party, and therefore a substantial amount of buy-in to the idea that it's a hoax, you shouldn't listen to scientists, that kind of fact-averse logic that leans into what's comfortable and therefore popular with some people. And the goal has always been to educate enough people so that it becomes lacking in comfort. So it becomes actively uncomfortable to go with comfortable untruth. I'll press play again.
We did many years ago. We did a movie called True Lies. And,
I love that movie. I love that movie.
Lies, here. Oh, let me show you something. I was making a joke that I have my high school. I want to get back to my high school people with this picture of, but that's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Jim, has a place down in New Zealand and spent a lot of time filming a lot of stuff. And, you gotta, he has his own fire department out here in Malibu too, because, he had a farm out there and you got to be ready. You can't depend on things, especially you got a family and he's got Jim Cameron also some sides on. I gotta see what he sent me. He and Susie, they, and so, which is just such a different way to live. And but the technology to putting fires out and to build these planes and things has gotten so much better. It's not just sci-fi for the movies. It's the technology has gotten so much better. And anytime we can share that, and it's not political. It's just common sense, and it's like plastic. You throw it in the water and it stays there forever. Well, they're studying ways to make a plastic that is biodegradable because people they're always going to use it, and so you got to get smarter and better. So we got to figure it out.
Tom, let me ask you some questions because you mentioned True Lies, which I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to talk to you about something I saw you tweet about yesterday, which was your punch up with Mark Burnett.
Oh, yes.
We've been talking about Mark Burnett helping to showcase Trump as a businessman when he didn't really deserve that projection. But you did your best to really pursue the truth and to really out Mark Burnett as having facilitated this propaganda that Trump was successful. Propaganda that really helped sell Trump to the American public as being a good caretaker, good with money and all that type of thing. But you tried to pursue Mark Burnett and hold him to account, and he tried to beat you up.
It's ongoing. Yeah, of course. But my job, I have a 4-year-old daughter, twin, and a 6. My son's picture of my daughter back there, and a 6-year-old son, Jax. And the best thing I can do for my kids is what I do on a daily basis. Which is I know Donald Trump for 30 years, and I know a lot of people around him, and so when something comes up and I know it's bullshit, I say it, and so I don't just say it, but I spend a lot of time in Washington D.C. and I spend a lot of time with
10-minute
people that are in politics. I was never really a political person except for issues, and so
I'm just going to say that 10-minute countdown. It's 5:50 where I am. he's joining me at 3 o'clock LA time. I'm not going to stuff this up. I'm so excited to be talking to him again. He's about to explain on this 4-year-old video why we were talking to each other then. It was the lead up to the 2020 election. So we both had that all hands on deck feeling. The way Tom expressed his all hands on deck feeling was to do a series called The Hunt for the Trump Tapes. And he did that because he was trying to find evidence of the what was left on the cutting room floor of The Apprentice, Trump using the N-word and highlighting his disrespect of an antagonism towards Black people. So now I'm going to look up Trump. Actually, I'll let Tom of 4 years ago talk while I Google the name of the producer who this year came clean, said his 20-year non-disclosure agreement had now expired, and he could say, in print, he could assert firmly to the public that yes, he himself personally heard Donald J. Trump used the N-word in reference to Kwame Jackson, who was the producers were urging him to be the winner of the first season of The Apprentice, and Trump was saying no, he didn't think America was ready for that, projecting his own racist inability to cope with a Black man succeeding. A microcosm of what we saw to such significant effect later on when Barack Obama won the presidential election and became President Obama.
This impeachment, for instance, was very important because it's not a political thing. So the day my daughter turned 4 years old, December 18th, Donald Trump got impeached, and it was a legitimate thing. And so he does lie every time he opens his mouth, that he's a bigot and he's cruel, and you just can't trust the guy. So that's not okay. Now, I knew him all these years, and Mark Burnett did this show, and it's a TV show, which is great. You can pretend people are anybody on TV or movies.
Yeah,
that's fine. And my
fabricated reality.
Yeah. And my friend was his executive producer, Eric Van Wagen, and his brother was my sports editor. I had a sports show called Best Damn Sports Show, period. A guy named David Hill, an Australian, a friend of Rupert Murdoch's, created the show. And those guys, it was on Fox. Yeah, some Fox Sports, who I work for, and who does the best sports. And so, so the brothers, my clip producer and his brother was Donald Trump's executive producer. So, I had access to a lot of things on that show. And it was,
you leveraged your connections to try and expose the truth a little bit.
It was fine that he did what he did, but they had to edit him to make him seem like a sharp guy, because he only remembered the last 20 seconds of what anybody said to him. Now Mark Burnett, though, knew better. And he's like, I'm going to make this guy the president. And everybody's like, that's a bad idea, because he really doesn't. He's incompetent, number one, and he really doesn't care about anyone but himself. So the fight, though, I had a show on Vice, which you can watch the 8 episodes, called The Hunt for the Trump Tape.
The Hunt for the Trump Tapes, yeah.
Yeah. And what it is, I took each tape that you hear about, whether it be the PB tape or the whatever, and I investigate, well, where did the idea of that tape come from? And I actually worked with thoughtful, respected, had a producer go to Russia and interview the prostitutes and
David Korn and
but my life, that's how I got to know Michael Cohen, is Donald Trump's lawyer, who I eventually made all kinds of tapes, and that led to, that's his lawyer, who's sitting down and making video and audio tapes.
You helped flip his fixer. You helped flip Michael Cohen, the personal attorney / fixer of the President of the United States.
Explaining why Jerry Falwell Jr., the biggest evangelical Christian in America, decided to support him, because when he had pictures of Jerry Falwell Jr. naked with a pool boy that Trump used to blackmail him, his wife. So that's all. I got that to show, well, this is so corrupt, and I don't care about people that Jerry Falwell Jr. is gay, but I do care that he that he's anti-gay, and that Trump blackmailed him. So there's a lot of this stuff, and then the people around Trump keep coming to me, including Rudy Giuliani, including Lev Parnas, including all the people currently. So yeah, it's ongoing, and it's going to go into the Senate next week. Now, this guy John Bolton is going to testify. It's not over, because John Bolton was on this phone call.
Yeah, cooking up a drug, listening to Rudy Giuliani cooking up a drug deal with Sunderland, et cetera. Yeah.
He is going to testify. There's going to be a trial in the Senate. And when it gets to the Senate, man, it gets serious. When I was a kid, we had something called Watergate, and our school stopped. And we watched it on TV, and it was
But Mitch McConnell wouldn't allow any witnesses in that Senate trial. We're talking about the first impeachment. And we are, because this is prior to January the 6th. This is prior to the election transpiring in 2020. So Trump hasn't lost yet. None of the events of the insurrection have happened yet. So Tom Arnold is referring to we've had the impeachment at the House, and the trial will come in the Senate, and all the Republicans vote to acquit Trump. And what do you need in the Senate to oust somebody? You need, I think you need 60% to oust somebody. All right, Tom's messaging me, running 5 minutes behind. Well, that's fine. That's fine, because I'm going to keep chatting. And I'll tell him that. But what I'll do is I'll press play on him talking in the past so that I can message with him in the present. I feel like I'm in Inception right now. So exciting.
a big deal. And that's what's going to happen here in America, because that's how our Constitution works. And they have to take an oath, and it gets very serious here. And Trump, there's never been.
Oh, they had to take an oath. I cannot today. It's so much harder with the Supreme Court overturning literal centuries of precedent now to say that Trump has powers of the king as long as he deems it to be an official act. He can seek to overthrow the American system of government. He can overthrow America's democracy, constitutional republic, what have you. Although, to note, conservatives, constitutional republic is a form of democracy. It's just a form of democracy where you elect representatives. It's a representative form of democracy where power is divided into branches to prevent the rise of tyranny. Haha, lol, oh, the irony. But yes, we've got safeguards against tyranny. They came very close to being breached on January the 6th of 3.5 years ago. The conscience of a few conservatives even the fear that they might someday be prosecuted for if they did things that they knew to be against the Constitution and against the law. Mike Pence asked former Vice President Dan Quayle for advice. Should I roll with this plan of the legal side of the coup by saying I've got multiple certificates from different electors, from Biden electors and from Trump electors, from these states that Trump was contesting. That plan is detailed in the Eastman memos. I went through that earlier today. It was a succession of memos detailing various plans to use either the consent of Vice President Mike Pence, or for Mike Pence to just even consent to step aside, pretend he had a cold even, and for Senator ex-tempore Chuck Grassley to step up and then be the one overseeing the certification of the election, and just to refuse to certify it for Biden, to say it's too contested, we don't get to a 270 electoral count, either just to outright gavel in Trump as the winner of the election because of these false electors who had submitted certificates in place or in competition with the true certified electors from states that Biden had won, such as Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, etc. So Google the Eastman memos. If you haven't, you should really acquaint yourself with Trump's planning, because his crimes in that department are less likely to come to trial given the ruling of the Supreme Court, not just to grant Trump absolute immunity for official acts, but you can't even use evidence of a suspected unofficial act to
to aid the prosecution for his crimes. So basically, they have taken so much away from the ability of Jack Smith to prosecute Trump effectively in court with regards to his not just incitement of violence against those in the Capitol on that day, the day of the certification. They hope to delay it, to subvert it, and to activate a provision of the 12th Amendment. Oh, I've got my Constitution. So glad I brought my pocket Constitution. Let's go 12th Amendment. All right. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have such a majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, so the top 3 contenders, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. So provision of the 12th Amendment, if you don't have a clear majority for a presidential candidate, you don't reach the 270, you don't reach the plurality of electors. In choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. And in the Eastman memos, it says Republicans will have 26 delegates under this methodology. They had control of 26 states, even though the Democrats actually then had a majority in the House of Representatives in terms of overall number of representatives. If you narrow it down so there's 1 representative from each state, Republicans had 26, Democrats had 24. And that was part of the Eastman plan to overthrow not only the election results, but from then on, from that day forwards, American democracy. Because you overthrow 1 election, you've given yourself a pass to not hold any more legitimate, free and fair elections, because you've established a process. You may not need to enact out the whole process. You may be now so drunk with power that you can just stage manage future elections. The point is, you won. Your method won. You are emboldened to do that going forwards forevermore. So that would have been the end of American democracy if Mike Pence had acquiesced to that plan, or if he'd even acquiesced, not even to gavel in Donald Trump, not even to say, oh, well, let's switch to Amendment 12 provision, 1 delegate from each state shall vote for the president and choose the president using the Constitution. If Mike Pence had just said, I don't feel very well, knowing that the plan was to let Chuck Grassley then do the honors of either just directly gaveling in Trump, discounting the so-called contested states that Donald Trump was saying was stolen. Oh my gosh. So let's listen to Tom.
Anything like it for Donald Trump, and it's going to get very serious. And for me to have played a part in that, and ongoing, yeah. Open to do this and to kind of put the brakes on this nonsense, you'll see that now this Mark Burnett. So he's furious that I'm messing with Donald Trump. I mean, so I see him at the biggest party in Hollywood, this big night before the Emmys party. It's just, I wasn't even going to go because people are hating me. And a buddy calls me that had just won the Oscar for Best Documentary for a movie called Icarus, about the Russian doping scandal, about Putin cheating in the Olympics. He calls me, Brian Fogel says, hey, are you going to that party tonight? And I go, no, probably. You want to go with me? Now, Brian Fogel has no idea. He's just into Brian Fogel and documentary series stuff. He doesn't quite realize. He doesn't even know who Mark is. We walk into this party, the last people there. I'm kind of depressed anyway. At the top of the stairs, I see Mark Burnett blocking the entrance to this fabulous party like he's like he's looking down. Like Mark Burnett was in the Special Forces in the UK, which is almost like being in a real Special Forces. It's like, it's not like being an Aussie Special Forces American. It's UK. So it's kind of like a weird hat. It's almost, anyway, so he's huffing and puffing, looking at me like, hey, Tom Arnold, you are going to get in this party. I have heard. And I'm going to show up for the guy, Jeff Probst from Survivor here. And I'm like, oh, hell no. He's going to try to block me from walking. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So my buddy has got his camera out filming for his mom. You're supposed to film at this fabulous party. So I make eye contact with him, and I'm like, oh no, he didn't cry. Then I'm like, I don't want to cause a problem. So I try to walk around him at the top of the stairs, and he latches on, does one of these things around my windpipe. I'm like, and I kind of lose my balance, and I grab his loop on his belt thing, and I'm like, you better let me freaking get my balance and get even up here, because I about went backwards down this thing. And as I get to the top stair, I get around sideways, and I hear someone scream, "Oh my God, Mark!" And it's his wife, touched by an angel. It's his wife, this Roman Italian,
yeah,
or whatever. And she's like the super Christian born again, and she's like, "Oh!" And people are like, and the survivor guy is like, "Oh, don't choke him!" And then they start, because they realize he's a freak. So they kind of pull him away, and I get a little air between us. You swear. And then I'm like, I'm going to do some damage. He has to leave this party. And I do a couple things. And one of the best thing, though, he's got this giant gold Jesus chain. He's full of shit, by the way. Jesus, I get my hand on that thing, and I pull this up, and then I just throw it over the top of these bushes, never to be seen again. He's got a pink shirt, too, like from the Olivia Newton-John, like a leather jacket, like from Pinky Tuscadero. I ripped that from Greece. I ripped his jacket off of him, and he's heading back there. And I'm like, you crazy son of a bitch. And I start screaming at him, like, just for Donald Trump. And by now, all the people, the big stars, Hollywood, see it. Now, unfortunately, what they saw was me going apeshit on this poor guy who is the biggest producer in Hollywood. He has he has The Voice. He has The Apprentice. He has Survivor. He has Guess My Weight. He has, I don't know.
Did he do The Bachelor as well?
So they separate us, and then they're like, you guys have to leave. So I'm like, that's bull. And then I go, I just want him back here to finish this. And anyway, they ended up like.
I can't hear Tom. Here we go. Add to stage. It was me. I was broadcasting on a separate channel to promote the interview and replaying me talking to you 4 years ago. And everybody was watching that. I hope they switch across. I'll just say goodbye to them. Everybody switch to the new broadcast. Tom is on that one, okay? I hope the audience transfers. Bye, everybody. Just Google Trump, Tom Arnold. Same thing. Bye, everyone. Okay.